Taste the Mediterranean through March 19th at Whole Foods Market. Save on animal welfare certified bone and beef short ribs, sustainable wild-caught sockeye salmon, and more. Find sales on Parmigiano Reggiano, charcuterie and ground lamb. Grab an olive boule bread from the bakery. Plus, wines from the Mediterranean start at just $8.99. Taste the Mediterranean now at Whole Foods Market. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly.
Today on CityCast Chicago, it's almost the greatest city in the world's birthday. Yes, next Monday, the city of Chicago turns 187 years young. But instead of cake, we was thinking maybe we should eat some onions to celebrate. Now, if you completely lost, I got you. We're revisiting our conversation with Tribune food critic Louisa Chu, talking about the smelly vegetable that gave Chicago its name. It's Wednesday, February 28th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. Louisa Chu, welcome back to CityCast Chicago.
Thank you so much, Jacoby. I so appreciate the fact that when you think of onions, you thought of me, you know?
I mean, you are one of our go-to people in Chicago to learn about food history. And, you know, not just me, but a lot of people may have heard that the name Chicago comes from a Native American word referring to smelly onions. But is that true? Is there a specific onion we're talking about?
Yes. So, legend has it that the name Chicago comes from an indigenous Native American word for a plant that we now know widely as ramps.
Okay.
And they are very similar, you might think, to green onions or to, scallions, however you prefer, or chives. If you ever encountered ramps in the wild, you will know that is a wild green because it is so pungent and so delicious. And I want to kind of reclaim the word stinky because in this case, it is so fragrant. And like I said, I mean, you smell it. If you sustainably harvest a leaf or two in an area that you are allowed to, do not go to the forest preserve. Don't let me catch you in the forest preserve because that is a preserve, not a harvest, okay? So if you find a ramp and you put it in your fridge, you open it up a little bit later, you're like, whoa, what's going on there? And so it is very distinctive. There are indigenous Native American peoples whose word is similar to what we now pronounce as Chicago. We are living on unceded land of the Potawatomi people, maybe most notably or known in the Chicago area, but it looks like it's phonetically spelled Chicagua.
And then the Algonquin people have their own version of the word as well. Do these things still grow wild in our area?
Luckily for us, yes. But like I said, I got to tell you, when I used to live next to a forest preserve, I would see people pulling them up, the plant root and all, and I would go off. All right. And so luckily, yeah. And you'll know if you walk through some wild land in the springtime, because it is a seasonal spring wild green, when the snow is melted down and the earth is all black and muddy and swampy, because we are living on top of, swampy land, you will see greens poking up, and those are ramps. And so not only do they make themselves known by sight and by scent, but absolutely, we are so lucky that they are still growing wild. But again, they are a wild plant, extremely difficult to cultivate, and they take a long time to reach to that beautiful, green, leafy, fragrant plant.
What ramp dishes should diners be on the lookout for come spring when they're prolific?
The dish that I am now waiting for, counting the days, is the ramp raviolo at Daisy's in Logan Square by chef and owner Joe Frillman. So it is a gigantic raviolo, like what we know as ravioli, or, not the canned stuff. It is a giant face-size raviolo, just like a single one. And so he uses fresh ramps in the pasta dough, so it's green, and pickled ramps in the filling, along with cheese and a soft, runny egg yolk. I am kissing my lips and my mouth is watering just from the memory of it.
Me too.
And yeah, oh my gosh. I kind of feel like everybody should just send all their ramps over to Daisy's so they can have enough to make those amazing raviolos. So those are absolutely wonderful. Probably my favorite dish that I've encountered in my life so far in Chicago. But you can also find them at places like Jumbo or H Mart when they do their seasonal house-made kimchi. Oh, again, it's so incredibly good. They do the seasonal Korean kimchi that's typically made with green onions or scallions, but that brief time that they're available in season, they'll do the house-made kimchi with that as well. So incredibly good.
Taste the Mediterranean through March 19th at Whole Foods Market. Save on animal welfare certified bone and beef short ribs, sustainable wild-caught sockeye salmon, and more. Find sales on Parmigiano Reggiano, charcuterie and ground lamb. Grab an olive boule bread from the bakery. Plus, wines from the Mediterranean start at just $8.99. Taste the Mediterranean now at Whole Foods Market. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly.
So we talked a little bit about ramps, and then people will still go back to the smelly onion. A little trivia question. Do you know what the most popular onion variety is?
Oh, I was not prepared for trivia. I'm going to take a stab and say yellow onion.
And there you go. That's why you don't have to be prepared for trivia, but you always prepare. You ain't got to get ready when you stay ready, Louisa. Yes, the yellow onion, which there are, a few different types of when you head to the grocery store. Are there any restaurants in Chicago that are making onions the star of a dish?
We've got to go to the classic French onion soup. So we have to go to Le Bouchon in Bucktown, where they make their soup à l'oignon gratiné, the classic. Like, they put so much onions in there and they cook them down. And again, my mouth is watering. And of course, it's like in this incredible base of the soup, and then top it with cheese. Doesn't hurt at all, So that's kind of like a seasonal classic, even though they offer it pretty much year round. Like, as we're moving into soup season.
Mm-hmm. I got a dish where it's not the star, but it somehow steals the show. Mm-hmm. And Virtue short rib. I get it almost every time I go. And you got the cream, spinach, and the potatoes, but that caramelized onion gravy that's in that dish it just turns it up to a next level each and every time I have it. And then, I've talked a lot about Giant on the program over the last couple of weeks, but their onion rings are something that I get. I grab a couple small plates every time I go, and the onion rings are definitely one that I love.
I gotta say, for another onion dish that may not necessarily people think of, like this is an onion dish, but for me, I'm like, this is onion territory. Jim's Original, the griddled onions on a Polish sausage or a bone-in pork chop sandwich.
I was going to say Maxwell's.
Yes.
I get mine off of 79th in South Chicago, and that burger and the amount of put more if you want, but the amount of onions they throw on top of that double cheeseburger hits every single time.
Yep.
And I don't care how many they put on it.
Yeah, that's one of those sandwiches where I kind of think those are the kinds of sandwiches where if they kind of forgot even the Polish or the pork chop or the burger, I wouldn't necessarily miss them. But if they miss the onions, I think that I would be like, hey, what's happening here?
I mean, for so many people, onion it gets a bad rap, right? Onions is at the base of so much. What do you think onion brings to a dish? Why is it so mouthwatering, whether it's in soup or caramelized or grilled or in a base?
Yeah. I mean, the versatility and Again, that fragrance, again, it is a humble vegetable, and it is something that keeps, and it is something that makes just about anything taste better. And so I would say that, there is a reason why, like you were mentioning, the different cultures that have onions at its base, it really is such an incredibly versatile and affordable vegetable.
Speaking of, so versatile, goes in so many cultures. How far back do you think humans have been cultivating onions?
Oh boy, I would say, let's see. I don't even know how far back we can be considered humans. I'm just going to go for the classic 2,000 years.
Research indicates as long as 5,000 years or more
Ooh.
potentially, we've been playing around with onions. So let's go from 5,000 years to now. Which state is the top producer of onions?
Oh boy. So let's see. Climate. I'm gonna say California.
And you would be right. California
Oh.
is the top producer of onion, produced by the rest of the West Coast. As you immediately mentioned climate, right? The rest of the coast. Cali is also the top producer of garlic, which, as we said earlier, is related to onions and ramps.
Yeah.
What are some of the most unique onion dishes you can find in Chicago?
Well, one of my favorites is a vegan and gluten-free spring dumpling made with spring onions, carrot kimchi, peas, and mustard beet foam at Bloom Plant-Based Kitchen in Wicker Park. So, Chef Rodolfo Quadros makes this amazing, stunningly beautiful dish. When I was thinking dumplings, like, we all kind of think of dumplings like the way it looks, like kind of like that emoji. This was like this beautiful, again, bright green little packet, and like topped with this like amazing ethereal like foam sauce. And it was so intensely flavorful. It kind of just really redefined, again, the expectations for that those light flavors of spring.
Hey, I'm going to give people one more. The play on a rodeo cheeseburger, which is like a cheeseburger with barbecue sauce and onion ring. But over at Nikki's in Beverly, you can get a smoked brisket sandwich topped with 2 fried onion rings. And it's got the barbecue sauce on the brioche bun with a little bit of slaw on top. And it's a fantastic sandwich. So I love me a good onion ring on its own, but if you throw it on top of something, I ain't gonna be mad at you.
I love that you specify which Nikki's, because that Nikki's in Beverly is doing a little bit more, kind of like experimental chefy things. Because as we know, Nikki's is maybe best known for the Big Baby, which is the Chicago style burger. And that is elemental. You got to have the onions on that burger as well.
I mean, with all of these dishes that we've talked about the versatility. And again, we've talked about the tiers, which I've heard means we just need to sharpen our knives a little bit. Do we give onions enough credit?
I guess it really depends on the culture. And in my circles, absolutely. I mean, I think that's why we have like, certain friends. It's always kind of funny when people say like, "Oh, don't eat onions or garlic or whatever on a first date," and I'm like, "Yeah, do, because get that cleared up like right away." I mean, like, know who you're spending your time with, and so if somebody that wants to go and have like some incredibly wonderful stinky slash fragrant onion with you, you may have found the right person to spend some serious time with.
I mean, it's one of the items that makes it in every single grocery list, because it's one of the most used items that I have in my house. What do you think is the best onion date dish?
Oh boy, that's so hard
We
to
didn't talk
say.
about soups and sandwiches.
Yeah. I was thinking about the kung yu bang, or the chung yao bang, or the scallion pancake at Lao Peng Yo. And it is the Chinese restaurant in Ukrainian village, which literally means like old friend. And so it is this wonderful, flaky, when we can't say pancake really, it is
hmm
like it is like this layered, like wonderfully just like crispy and chewy, delightful, sweet and tangy pastry. And each one is handmade. So You have to have a little patience, take a little time. So if you're going to go on a date, that's like a time to chat and like get to know one another while they're making it. And then, maybe kind of like, those cartoons where you sort of pull it apart. You can each take one side and pull it apart and share. So yeah, that can't miss with it going to a place that's called Old Friend, right?
Louisa, it was nice to catch up with you, my old friend. And I knew when this idea came up that you would be the person to go to. You came with plenty of great restaurant opportunities for folks, and we'll drop some of those in the show notes. So again, thank you for making time for us.
Thank you so much.
Before we let you go, stay tapped into all CityCast Chicago has to offer by bookmarking our website, chicago.citycast.fm. And to get the latest news and events in your inbox every morning, Monday through Friday, subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Chicago. Hey, and if you got ideas for the podcast and newsletter, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can leave us a text or a voicemail at 773-780-0246. Leave your name, your neighborhood, and your idea. Oh, one last favor. If you really want to show CityCast Chicago and Hey Chicago some love, consider becoming a member of CityCast. Starting at just $8 a month, you'll get ad-free listening, members-only updates, and the opportunity to help us make sure we're still here for another, 750 episodes. We really appreciate you. Of course, I can't let you go without some good news. We've got some amazing authors in town tomorrow night discussing their award-winning books, including super agent Rich Paul, who'll be at the Harold Washington Library talking about his book, Lucky Me. Melissa Albert will be at the Bookseller in Lincoln Square for her YA novel, The Bad Ones. And Jen Jackson will be at Bronzeville Winery to break down her book, Black Women Taught Us. Links to each event are in the show notes. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow celebrating Leap Day with our guide to March. We'll talk to you then. Peace.